Hello, this is Spencer Mendel, and I did my interview on a man named Alex Henigan. He grew up in Sycamore, Illinois, and he has worked in the food service industry, specifically in restaurants and cafes, for over 10 years now. He's 26, so he started at 16 when he was in high school. He recently, in 2008, opened up a restaurant called Exclusive Cafe with his high school buddies from Sycamore, and they actually built this restaurant. The space was in a strip mall, and all that was inside of the um, part of the building was rocks. It started as rocks, and I actually remember because I interviewed and I was on the original cast. I remember we interviewed on top of the rocks, and they were on chairs and tables doing all the paperwork, and they were one of the guys was actually writing the menu, the other menus of other restaurants, and Alex was interviewing me, and he's kind of been a townie of Sycamore. He knows a lot of people that live here, and his family is a well-respected family. They actually own the main major plumbing company, but he decided not to go with that and he went with restaurants. He started at the age of 16. He worked at a restaurant called Sean's Cafe. He worked at this restaurant all during high school, and then once he got out of high school, he worked there full time. And by the age of 19, he became the manager. And the only person above him was the owner of the cafe, who rarely stopped in. And after a couple of years of doing that, he started to work at a restaurant called Tasco, which is a very authentic Mexican restaurant in Sycamore. He started as a bartender, and he quickly moved his way up again to manager. And he did that for a couple of years, but he had a lot of ideas, and he wanted to open up his own restaurant. And it turned out to be a lot harder than he originally thought. He told me that at first he didn't know of all the legal issues, all the approvals, and all when you're constructing. He knew of a lot of the legal issues of running one, but the actual construction of a restaurant and just the interior. I mean, the building was already built, and a lot of the electricity, a lot of that stuff was already in there. But building a lot of the just basic stuff like floors and putting in walk-in fridges, that took a lot more time, and things get pushed back, and the date of opening kept on getting pushed back, pushed back. And I actually remember I got interviewed and got the job and was told that I was going to start in June. And I actually ended up starting in September, the first weekend of September in 2008. And that first weekend was very chaotic and a bit scary because it was at the beginning of the recession. Around that same time was when all that was going down, and a lot of small businesses were shutting down, and we had just opened this restaurant in a very not so great economical time. And after that first weekend, it was so busy and chaotic, but a lot of people left with not the best experience. For example, I remember one table um, had actually left. They ordered their food and they waited for over an hour and 20 minutes, and the waiter came out with the food, and they had left. They didn't leave any money or any tip. They just got up and left. And um, that was a pretty big day in Alex's career. He told me, he said it was a very scary time of his life. He had a high turnover rate of employees, and told me that after a while he started to realize what kind of employee, because he had never really hired employees before. He told me the kind of employees that he likes to hire are employees that can grow. Obviously, in the restaurant industry, they're usually young kids like I was, high school or nearby college students. But he really liked people that were hardworking and seemed like they could grow. And he liked to promote people because it gave them some accomplishment for their hard work and feeling of belonging. They belonged there, and they felt that they not needed, but they were a bit needed, and they were helpful to the running of the business. Everyone liked that feeling, and the reward of the hard work with that higher paying job like a server or the expediter, you know, reflects that worker and promotes a more positive aura, as Alex described. He also likes to give the best section to the hardest worker and the most skilled. And actually, when I was there, the guy that was at that, he has about 6 tables, which is crazy because turnover rate in breakfast restaurants and like the flipping of the tables is ridiculously fast. And he had that section he's had it pretty much for the last year. Um, Alex also mentioned that he was happy that he worked with his high school buddies, even though they were all very young and a lot of people didn't think they were going to make it. And sometimes he said it was tough, you know. He got in arguments and fights, but at the end of the day, he's happy that he opened with them and he's very happy. And he says the feeling that he's received from doing his ideas and his independence of running his own restaurant successfully is one of the best feelings in the world. And it's helped him win a couple of awards, like they won the Daily Chronicle the best breakfast in DeKalb County. And overall, the buzz of the restaurant is huge and very successful. And I think that, and he obviously told me that he also had other ideas of future restaurants. And so he's facing new challenges every day, he admits. He's learned a lot, though, from the beginning. Like I said, the hiring of the employees and overall managing and running a restaurant. He said he's learned that the little things what really matters. And after that first chaotic weekend, really reorganized everything and he drew out a lot of the things that he learned and he made his own ideas and quick changes and they have helped